All right, here we go in the winners semifinals. The last match for one of these two players for the day. We have spawned down here in the bottom left-hand corner of the map, Frost, the blue Zerg player from Root Gaming, the Korean who's come to America and has definitely been putting in a lot of time here. We'll see if it pays off. Give it up for Hydra. And his opponent up here in the top left-hand corner of the map, the red Terran player. Is an American, but represents Latin American players and viewers everywhere. Has shown some really awesome and fantastic play throughout the day. Let's see if we can keep it up. Give it up for Kelazhur from Root Gaming. So nothing super crazy coming out. Frost is definitely that 4-player map that I'm sure I actually wouldn't be surprised if Hydra was the one that ended up picking this map, just because 4-player map. Oh, I don't have to worry about Reaper harassment, something that I think Kelazhur is quite well known for, having really good Reaper control. He is quite good at Reaper control, as I believe we ended up seeing in a series versus, I think it was Violet actually, yeah. It was a TVZ versus Violet. He does still open up with a single Reaper, not going to do anything super crazy, following up with a reactor, factory, or no, sorry, second barracks behind this. Yeah, this is the more common thing to do actually these days. Going for the second barracks, going to get up a tech lab, get up a quick stim, and be able to continuously put on the pressure for your opponent. Now, versus Violet, that style of continually putting on the pressure did work out relatively well, but I will criticize Kelazhur for a moment in saying that he lost a lot of the units. He lost the medevacs, he lost Marines, he lost, I think, his early Reapers and stuff like that. He was losing quite a few important early on units that really do hurt the amount of damage and the pressure that you can put on later on. Now, it worked out versus Violet because he did trade versus a lot of creep spread. He really did a great job of shutting down the creep spread of Violet, but he also was just shutting down Violet's ability to see, oh, whoa, Zerglings actually making their way into the main base. Hold that thought. Couple of Zerglings sneaking their way in fairly early on. Kelazhur didn't anticipate this, and neither did I, as the supply depot ended up being lowered for a little bit too long. Looks like only one worker has been lost so far this game, and it wasn't Kelazhur's worker either. It was Hydra's. So Kelazhur manages to make it out of there without really taking too many losses. I don't even know if he really lost any mine time either. Looks like he didn't. Oh, he lost. No, sorry, you lost one worker. My bad. Where his workers killed, right? So loses one worker. Really, really nice trade though for Kelazhur for the most part. Kind of annoying that Hydra gets in there, causes that bit of a disruption. Obviously gets a scout off to confirm the 2 racks, but for the most part, most Zerg players can kind of anticipate this is the norm these days. But I do wonder, since Violet is not going to be Violet is not going to have played similar to how Hydra plays. Violet goes for a very, very massive number of queens. He really delayed his lair tech, he delayed his Baneling nest. He played very greedy in a lot of ways, and just in terms of delaying tech in favor of economy and units. Well, I don't think that's necessarily the way that Hydra is going to play this out. Double evolution chambers are coming out. He's continuing to get a couple more queens, but he's only going up to 4 or 5 queens. It's nothing crazy ridiculous. He's not making 3 queens at a time constantly and consistently. He's getting up a 3rd expansion, but it's not a hyper fast 3rd expansion. It's going to be finishing up around almost 5 minutes. So that's what? I think close to a 4-minute 3rd expansion, 3:45 or something. Pretty normally timed. Kelazhur is finally ready to put on that aggression as Stim is getting close to finishing up. The medevacs are out, and Hydra spots this all out as if he didn't already know the timing by heart, I say though. A lot of Zerglings going to be coming out. No Baneling nest out. You can, for the most part, just deal with this with just queens and those Zerglings. One more queen being made right now. He has a bit of transfuse energy to spare as well, but the creep is going to be cleaned up. And this is, again, one of those really important things if you decide to go for that Ling Baneling style, as it seems like Hydra is going to be going for. Now, Hydra doesn't have quite as many queens as Violet did, but he is getting up double upgrades pretty gosh darn quickly. Is definitely going to be beating Kelazhur to the punch. Couple of Marines going down, and Kelazhur not going to find too much more luck over here as he loses 4 of his Marines at the cost of a lot of creep spread, which is important for Hydra to get going. Maybe able to kill off an Overlord here or there. He's going to be able to go after another Overlord. Stims up and should be able to get it. Zergling's definitely not going to make it there in time. Don't even bother trying. But sort of interesting is that Kelazhur only throws down 1 engineering base, so this does mean he's going to be falling pretty significantly behind in those upgrades. And now, thankfully for him, he's going for the +1 weapons upgrade, and he can throw it on the army, just go for 2-1, and then 3-2, so being just 1 armor upgrade behind, but staying consistent on the weapon upgrades, which is really important, especially when you start getting up toward players who really like to go for fast ultralisk tech. But Larry is going to be coming out. We got a Spore Caller, Safety Spore Caller coming out to deal with either Liberator harassment as well as just Widow Mine drops. Marine's taking some losses. Queen's getting awfully close, but this is one of those things where if there was a bit more crease spread, if that crease spread didn't get cleaned up, those Queens would be much further out, and Kelazhur could have lost that medevac just because the Queens would have been close enough. Thankfully not losing it. 2-2 gonna be going up really quickly over here for Hydra as well, so we're getting 2-2 started up before +1 armor ever even starts for Kelazhur. That just goes to show how behind he's gonna be on those armor upgrades. But again, the weapon upgrades I think are gonna be the most important thing for Kelazhur. Couple of banelings being made. Lair Tech is now finished up, but Centrifugal Hooks is not even started, so those banelings are gonna have a hard time getting a next round. Oh, Widowmine goes off, does some friendly fire damage. I think kills off one of his own medevacs that I don't even think shows up in the production tab, or the units lost tab, just because I think it was friendly fire damage. I'm not actually entirely sure about that. It looked like something died there. Looks like a medevac will definitely end up going down over there, and the second medevac very, very low on health. 4th expansion also being taken right now for Hydra. And with the Spire on the way, he should have some pretty good anti-medevac and anti-harassment mechanisms. Zergling moves in, scouts out the 3rd expansion. Nothing super crazy. Nothing unanticipated for Hydra. Well, Overlord gets picked off. Small little wins here and there, but of course Hydra's not anywhere close to being supply blocked. Although, he is doing something interesting. He's rallying some of these drones in. And I'm not really sure what to make of these drones. I feel like this has just got to be a miss rally, because yeah, he's attack moving in. He does rally them back, so he's actually not going to end up losing any of them. But whoa, Banling's going off on top of all of the mules, killing off a decent chunk of the workers as well. Kelazhur ends up losing quite a bit, and even a couple of Banlings still left over right now. So he should be able to eventually clean this up, since there isn't a big rally across the map or anything. Kelazhur also has some Widow Mines that are being annoying. Did a little bit of drop harassment on the other side of the map, but still, Kelazhur takes quite a few worker losses, and with that, he is now also going to be suffering some Mutalisk harassment pretty soon. Is he going to be prepared for this? His 3rd expansion is definitely not prepared, and I think the most important thing is he just lost his entire army. He's only got 8 Marines out right now. He's got 2 Liberators out, which can sort of deal with Mutalisk to some extent, but it's not exactly as strong of a counter as you would like in low numbers versus low numbers of Mutalisk. And you can see the Mutalisk just focus fire down the Liberators. Both of them end up going down, not killing off a single Mutalisk. And now, Missile Turrets going up way, way too late. The Marines in far too low of numbers. And I don't think that Missile Turret's even going to go up. The Widow Mine's burrowing in a position over at the ramp, maybe just hoping to catch the Mutalisk, trying to get over aggressive. But no, Hydra goes straight to the main base. He's killing off so many workers right now, and just forcing Kelazhur on the defensive. Even a couple more Banelings moving into that 3rd expansion, killing off a few more workers. The Mutalisk able to get out of there, although he does, I think, end up taking 1 or 2 Mutalisk losses, maybe? No, still hasn't taken any Mutalisk losses. Thought he lost 1 to Marine over there. Big thank you to Stupefier for the totally new sub. Thank you so much, man. Big shout out to you. But Hydra has definitely got to be feeling pretty good. Sitting up 2-2. Probably wants to maybe start thinking about an Infestation Pit and stuff at some point. But for now, just getting up Centrifugal Hooks is going to be the most important thing. That's definitely something that he ended up skipping on for quite a bit of time. Mutals coming on in. Going to be focus firing down those medevacs and chasing back this army. Even without Centrifugal Hooks. These Banelings are going to be more than enough to scare Kelazhur out of this game. GG gets called. Hydra takes game number 1. And with the 1-0 lead in favor of Hydra, I think a lot of people may have come into the series saying, well, Hydra's pretty favored. And so far, sitting up 1-0, I don't think that's going to be a huge surprise to many people. But I think Kelazhur still, again, as the teammate, has had a lot of practice versus Hydra, probably knows his playstyle very, very well, and vice versa. So it really is one of those things where the mind games can come into effect. We haven't really seen a lot of that, but I will also say, Kelazhur is really good at his early game aggression, especially. He's pretty good at late game aggression. He's pretty decent at it, but I would say his strong point, his strength is in that early game aggression. And Frost is one of the harder maps to make that kind of stuff happen. This next map maybe will turn out a little bit differently. 2-player spawn. King Sejong Station is going to be the map choice. We'll see how this is going to go as the players, as we just wait for them to get ready. Oh yeah, let me update the overlays and everything. Set Hydra up as sitting up 1-0. Taking a look in the meanwhile at some of the bracket updates for the losers bracket, by the way. Just want to give some quick shout outs and highlights to that since we aren't really casting a lot of games from there just yet. But it looks like Violet is going to be playing off versus the winner of Reina versus Abaddon. Violet ended up beating out Panda Bear Me 2-1. Hearthstone is currently playing versus Xenocider. The winner of that's going to go on to face off versus Bales. We had Euthermal advance on over Dolan. Is going to be playing versus the winner of Nice versus Sake. Bly advanced on over Estrella and is going to be playing off versus the winner of Half-Breed versus Eric. But with that being said, we're hopping on to King Sejong Station. We'll see you guys there. Okay, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Spawning down here in the bottom right-hand corner of the map. Currently leading up to series 1-0. Give it up for Root Gaming's Hydra. And his teammates up here in the top left-hand corner of the map. The red Terran player sitting down 0-1. Give it up for Kelazhur. Whoa, I never noticed that. Look at that. You get a little poof of gas that comes out whenever you return the gas. Has that always been there? Has that been there since the beginning of Wings of Liberty and I never noticed this? That's amazing. All right. Learning things every single day. All right, so Kelazhur still goes for the command center. He's not going to do any kind of crazy 3-rack Reaper play or anything, and that doesn't surprise me. King Sejong Station is not the kind of map that you generally will see something like that on. Frozen Temple, much more likely. Something like that we'll end up seeing stuff, something coming out. Galactic Process, also a really good map for some of the proxy 3-rack Reapers. But this game, probably going to be leading toward maybe a bit more of the early Liberator harassment coming into the natural expansion, doing some nice damage over there, as well as over into the main base in the 3rd expansion, just because it's so far away. Ooh, Reaper already doing some really nice damage so far. Queens are going to be popping out pretty soon, so it should put an end to a majority of the Reaper pressure, but Kelazhur should be able to walk away pretty happy knowing that he got 4 kills. 1 drone kill and 3 Zerglings. That's definitely more damage than a Reaper should normally get, and again, I gotta hand it to Kelazhur. He's on top of those Reapers. It is, in a sense, his spirit animal. He grew up on the Brazilian server playing StarCraft in 300 ping, uphill both ways. And then when you can micro your Reaper uphill both ways, you can really do it when you only have 20 ping and it's downhill both ways. But alright, we got Zergling Speed finishing up pretty soon. Hydra coming out with the pause, who I believe, by the way, I'm not positive about this, but my understanding is that Hydra may be in Korea now. If someone knows this, I would love to actually know this, because this is at least what I've been told by someone. I'm not sure if he's consistently in Korea. I know he still plays a bit on the North American server and stuff, on the ladder. It's still pretty high up there in terms of MMR. But he may be experiencing some latency issues. Let's see what my latency is. Yeah, look at that beautiful 18 ping. 18 ping. You know what happens in 18 milliseconds? Nothing. If you told me to stim as fast as I could, it would take me more than 18 milliseconds to put my hand on my keyboard and then hit the stim button. Of course, we can only hope that these players end up having similar levels of ping, but alright, as I was saying, King Sejong Station, definitely one of those maps where the 3rd expansion is a bit further away, and this is one of those annoyances. Yeah, sure, you can get over here with the Speed Zerglings to help defend, but you gotta make enough Speed Zerglings to make that happen. And guess what? The Reaper, if it makes it back over there in time, looks like it may not. Zerglings do good of enough job to chase back the Reaper, and the drone does get over there. Because I was gonna say, if that single last Zergling did go down, the Reaper decided to kite back this way instead, then the drone very likely wouldn't have gone down that third expansion. Because the creep spread does have to get out over there for the Queens to actually make it to the third, it does sometimes cause delays. And it's not just about that, it's also about the Liberator harassment. It's very easy for a Liberator to move from that third expansion through this little choke point area where the Queens can't really easily move back over here to the main base to try and get some damage done. So it's a really nice map for Liberator harassment, for medevac drops, and Zerg players do sometimes struggle to deal with it a bit. We'll see what Kelazhur opts to do. He is still going for, again, that 2 racks play. Getting up the fast stim, getting up the double medevacs, getting out enough Marines to try and put the pressure on his opponents. Overlord comes in once again, the trail of blue gas behind him. It's gonna get chased out of there, but makes it out alive because he got up a pretty quick Overlord speed. And we got very fast 1-1 upgrades coming out once again, and it seems like it's almost a mirror of the builds from last game. We got the only single engineering bay coming out from Kelazhur. We got the Widowmine drop that's going to be the follow-up coming out from Kelazhur as well. He's got the double medevac Marines coming in. Oh, did he? Oh, that Reaper got out alive. It's up to 7 kills already. He's going to try and clean up some of the creep, but I've got to say, Hydra's in a much better position to help deal with this aggression on this map. Not going to end up losing too much creep spread over here. He's going to have to pull back a bit, and he's going to lose a lot of Zerglings in the process over here. But I will say that Kelazhur's getting a lot of damage done versus the Zerglings, just not a lot of damage done to the Queens or even to the creep spread. Even there's a couple of Queens that still have transfuse energy available. Now, we'll hand it to Kelazhur, really abusing that high ground position, making it very difficult for those Queens to actually snipe off the medevacs. That is generally the job of those Queens. They want to try and go after those medevacs as much as possible, try and shut down the later bits of aggression. And Kelazhur also hasn't lost too many of his Marines, so he can continue the aggression. Meanwhile, Hydra has to remake all those Zerglings he just lost. He's only got 5 out right now. This is starting to become a dangerous situation. He's got more coming out pretty soon. Baneling Nest is also on the way, but Kelazhur, if he actually just pulled in with more of those reinforcements, then I actually think he would be able to do a lot of damage. Liberator just trying to move in, gets 2 kills, forces the Spore Crawler to unburrow and reburrow in a different position. At the same time, he tries moving over the third expansion. Drones trying to be pulled over to one mineral patch to just try and buy them a little bit more space. Liberator, it looks like, did end up getting cleaned up, maybe? Yeah, it did end up getting cleaned up. And it looks like this drop is also going to get pushed back. Widowmine gets a decent shot off on some of the Zerglings, but also kills off some of the Marines. And it seems like Kelazhur's aggression is finally going to be put on hold. Kills off a lot of Zerglings over there. 57 Zerglings end up falling at the end of all of that. Versus just the 18 Marines. Keeps all the medevacs alive. Loses the Liberator, which is kind of annoying, but you don't really need the Liberator for that much early on. Of course, keeping that Liberator alive is always nice. Continuing pressure, forcing your opponent to reburrow the Spore Crawler and reposition their Queens, especially if you're pushing at the front and all that, you know that all their Queens are there trying to focus down your medevacs. But there it is. Once again, Kelazhur just relentless with the aggression. Now, Hydra's going to spot this out with a single Zergling, so he knows that the double medevacs are loaded up. He knows that another round is going to be coming out. But again, these guys are not just teammates, they are practice partners. They know each other's playstyle. I'm sure Hydra knows. If I know this about Kelazhur, then Hydra knows that Kelazhur is just relentless with aggression a lot of the time. We do have a Hive Tech coming up behind all of this for Hydra. And I will also say that Hydra not quite as far ahead on upgrades as he was in that last game. And in fact, prioritizing the +2 melee upgrade versus the +2 carapace upgrade. Very, very interesting, as normally, especially if you have a Zerg player going up to a faster Hive Tech, you want to prioritize the carapace upgrade. If you're going to start up one upgrade faster than the other, it is your carapace upgrade, because it helps your Zerglings, but also the Ultralist transition is just so much stronger. Kelazhur are going to be starting up +2 weapons, though, and he's going to be synced up with his opponent's +2 armor, so he's not going to be sitting in as bad of a spot, even though he is down a full upgrade right now, although he is going to be finishing that +1 armor upgrade pretty soon, shortly. And both these players are establishing their new expansions. Third expansion is pretty safe right now for Kelazhur, and cleaning up some of this Queens in the creep spread. Some transfuses going down, a lot of transfuses going down. Nice job for Hydra keeping those alive. Lift up over there, and Kelazhur got to use the, not going to use the higher health medevac to pick up the remainder of the units. I thought he almost did a really nice job with the micro there, making sure that the low health medevac picked up the units first so he could get out of there more quickly, but not quite. A little bit of extra micro, not going to be able to do it. 3 Widow Mines load up into a medevac, though. Could get some damage done. There's a Spore Crawler over here, and this medevac is most likely going to be going directly over it, so probably going to be taking some damage, in addition to the Queen doing some damage. Ooh, that medevac might even end up going down, but no, the Queen's not focus firing it down. And oh no, I don't think Hydra realized at all. Ends up taking quite a few losses because he's taking some Liberator damage on the other side of the map, trying to use that transfuse energy, but it runs out of transfuse energy, has another transfuse finally available. Another Queen may end up going down. No, takes out the Liberator, but not before taking a substantial number of losses. 21 workers killed this game. And Hydra is actually falling a bit behind the network account. He's remaking like 18 workers all at once, but that also comes at a cost. Oh, Banley's coming in, catching Kelazhur by surprise, gets some pretty good connections, and Kelazhur's army suddenly drops in supply, but he is still 70 versus 37. Oh, Kelazhur, yeah, he felt that one. He definitely felt that those Banling hits. They really did just come out of nowhere. I think Kelazhur was busy microing the drop on the bottom left-hand side of the map, and he's got to try and get some damage done over here. At least keeps the medevac alive, which is nice. And he doesn't have to worry about the mutilates for at least a little bit longer. Spire's going to be finishing up pretty soon, but the Ultralists are on their way out. +2 Carapace is done. +3 armor is on the way as well. Or sorry, no, +3 armor is not on the way just yet. It's just chitinous plating. Meanwhile, Kelazhur is starting up his own +3 weapons, so obviously not an ideal spot for Kelazhur, but it's better than sometimes Terran players end up facing. It's a better situation than some Terran players end up seeing, where they are facing off with maybe +2 weapons or something versus the 3-3 with chitinous plating. In that place, you just feel like it's the end of the game. There's just nothing you can do versus those Ultralists. But let's see what Kelazhur can do. He is going to be able to stem in over forward, and one real cool way that a lot of Terran players have started to deal a little bit better with Ultralists is just continuously harassing on so many different fronts. And look at this, we got the drop on the backside of that 4th expansion. We got the drop coming into the 3rd expansion that's getting some nice damage on. The Ultralists also charging the wrong way. Does finally find all these Marines. Is going to be able to chomp and nom them down. These Ultralists, though, do finish up chitinous plating and do not have +3 armor started still, but is very soon going to have +3 melee attacks. Widowmine goes off and does kill off a decent chunk of those Zerglings. No Banelings end up falling down, and Kelazhur suddenly doesn't have that army supply lead that he had a little while ago. And it's so hard to do economic damage to a Zerg player in this position, unless you actually end up killing off some of these newer, fresher expansion hatcheries. Killing off drones is really difficult. You need to kill off 15, 20 drones to really start to cripple your opponent's economy. When they're sitting up at 76 drones, they have drones to spare. Kelazhur's going to stem forward and try and get some more damage done. He's got some of the Marauders in the mix. Marauders can do okay, but still, Banelings going off. I think that they end up getting taken out by one of the Widow Mines. And Kelazhur's going to be on all out retreat. He realizes this is just way too much. He needs some of the Liberators in the mix. 4 Liberators coming out at a time, but he's only got 2 out right now, so needs to buy a bit more time. He's going to be dealing with some Zergan counter harassment. Oh boy. Zergan's killing off so many of these workers as well, as Kelazhur drops down to 53 workers. A couple of Banelings trying to be made over here. Very, very cute, but looks like a single Marauder will be able to take out most of them. But still, Baneling with +2 melee attacks will one-shot a worker, so he only needed 1 Baneling to really get the damage done. But here we go, Corruptor's being made. I don't think a Greater Spire is done just yet. No, Greater Spire is not done yet, so it's going to be purely for the Liberators. Not going to be making some sort of surprise transition into Broodlords or anything just yet. Although it has sometimes happened in this matchup in the late stages of the game. With 4 Liberators being made at a time, though, Kelazhur can play catch-up on that Liberator count. The problem is he going to have them in position and siege up in the right spot? The Ultrals are all behind him. This might actually weirdly work out well, because now suddenly the Ultrals have to move through the Liberator death zone to make it over to the rest of the army. He's going to end up losing his 4th expansion. Kelazhur just lifts up all of his army. He's going to end up losing a lot of his Liberators, though. In fact, he ends up losing almost every single Liberator. Last Liberator not even gonna bother on siege. He loses all of them. At the same time, though, he's doing pressure over here at the center base. He's taking some damage over at his third expansion, as well as at that main expansion, or that center expansion. The Planetary Fortress cleans up the Ultralisk. The Marines and the Marauders trying to get more damage done. He almost gets the hatchery, but not quite, because he's busy also on the right-hand side of the map, retaking or destroying that expansion. And it's just action going on everywhere. The Corruptor is saying, well, there's no more Liberators. I'll go after your Medivacs, taking them out one at a time. And suddenly Kelazhur is on the retreat. Does not have that many Medivacs. Well, actually, doesn't have any more Medivacs on the right-hand side. Has got all of them over in the center side. But probably wants to repair some of these guys up. A lot of them are very low on health. With all those Corruptors with nothing better to attack than the Medivacs, gotta be very careful with them. Oh, ends up losing one or two more Medivacs. Ultralisk charging forward. The Planetary Fortress is going to be the holding point for Kelazhur. He's got some Marauders over here. He needs to throw down the repair on that Planetary Fortress if he wants to hold on, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. He can't get enough surface area. The Zergling's also cutting down that surface area, and the Planetary Fortress does go down, but at the cost of almost every single one of these Ultralisks. Did Kelazhur take too good of a fight? Can he counteract the damage? He also takes out that fourth expansion once again. Ultralisk cleans up the drop harassment, and yeah, sure, there's been a bit more Zergling harassment over that third expansion, but Kelazhur is still mining over there. He can maybe float over that main base orbital command at this point. Yeah, that's exactly what he's going to do. Go over to that center expansion. It's a harder expansion to defend with just an orbital command. You really want a Planetary Fortress over there, but he is also really hurting the economy of Hydra. If he can get a snipe off on this hatchery, what has Hydra got mining? He's got these 4 or 5 paltry mineral patches. He's got nothing over here. And he is bleeding out a lot of these Ultras. His army supply is not exactly super high. It's actually pretty dead even right now with Kelazhur. Kelazhur is using those Liberators to try and take out some of those Queens, but most importantly, try and take out the Ultralisk. Not quite getting the big shots he needs. Looks like that orbital command has finally made his long sought-out journey after this center expansion. And he's finally going to be able to land right after he says, is this place really safe? I really thought that the Yelp reviews for this area said that this was a safe neighborhood, but it doesn't look like it. No, seriously, it's fine. This is just one little carjacking. It's not a big deal. Just settle down, drop your mules down, it'll be fine. Really, it's the back area over on the north side that's actually been very unsafe. Zergling's coming in, but this neighborhood has already been cleaned up. Marauders and Marines are going to be able to clean up some of those Zerglings. 3 of them survived, though, and you know, that's what I was saying. +3 melee attacks, that's all you need to start one-shot some of those workers. Not that there are a lot of workers to kill off on that angle, but if, hey, comes into that center expansion, both these players are really relying on these center expansions. Hydra's the one that's trying to long-distance mine for that right-hand base, though. Man, again, it's just, if Kelazhur, if he can get in over here, there's a little bit of that anti-air with the Corruptors. But if you can find a way to distract Hydra, if you can pull him down to the bottom side, pull him over the main base, you know, threaten the Ultras Cavern, even with a single Medivac drop, then suddenly he does have a potential opportunity to move in over here. Oh, Corruptors might actually take some of these Widowmine hits. Oh, Kelazhur, he's moving in, he's stimming forward. He goes, oh, he's actually focus firing down the Infestors. He gets one. He doesn't get the hatchery, though. It's 19 health left. He might have to do another suicide run, and yep, that's what these 2 Marauders are for. They know, but so does Hydra. Hydra sees the 2 Marauders, and he's just like, no, I'm not letting this happen. This is not happening. It's so unfortunate. Hydra doesn't even have any Queens out. Literally 0 Queens out on the map right now. He keeps losing them to all of the aggression. He really doesn't even have the economy to reproduce them very easily, so he can't throw down transfuses. Oh, Corruptor's going ham right now on Liberators. Killing off a couple of them, killing off some of the Medivacs also, it seems like. Kelazhur does seem to have a big enough army, though, that I think he can finally contest this expansion. New expansion coming down on the left-hand side for Hydra. Looks at the Corruptors finding a Liberator on the right-hand side. This might be the moment for Kelazhur to move in when all the Medivacs are going to be totally free. They can get siege up in a nice spot, and the Corruptor's going to be out of spot position. Looks like the move-in is a little bit too late. Marauder tries to focus fire down. He does get it, but big fungal growth's going down on the entire army of Kelazhur, but he knocks down the rocks. He prevents the Ultras from getting on top of the army. Continued fungal growths. Is it going to be enough? There's no more fungal growths left over. Kelazhur is sitting all in the red health right now, but he is going to be able to stim away. Actually, no, he can't stim anymore. He's too dead on health. He doesn't have any health left to stim, but he's kiting around these Ultras. He's dragging them into the Liberator range, and he is going to be able to take a decent engagement. There's still 4 Ultras left over. 4 Ultras getting baited into the Liberator zones. Another Ultras goes down. One of the Ultras also gets very low in health, but This is the big problem. That only last mining expansion for Kelazhur right now. It is going down. There's no mining left over. ZvT gets called. Kelazhur taps out. And Hydra takes the game. Somebody put that on SC2HL. Somebody tell me they got a clip, a Twitch clip for that. Big congratulations to Hydra. But that was just a series of awesome micro moments. That was definitely a treat. I really enjoyed just that last little set of engagements where Kelazhur stims forward with a small group of units. He stims forward with like a few units. He focus fires down the hatchery and, you know, got a fungal growth going down trying to prevent them. But Kelazhur moves forward with one more Marauder, snipes it off. And then the fungal growth goes down on the entire army, locking down Kelazhur, and the Ultras are about to charge down. But Kelazhur focus fire down the rocks. Oh god, that was too much. That was too much for me. But Hydra ends up advancing on, not to the, you know, he doesn't qualify just yet, but he makes it to day 2. And day 2 is definitely going to be an interesting one. It's basically a day where he could end up qualifying, I think in just, what, 2 rounds? Is it top 1 qualifies on day 2? I think it might just be one person qualifies on day 2. I'll need to double check on that, but regardless, that does mean Kelazhur gets knocked down to the loser's bracket. Now, Kelazhur, again, is not out of it just yet. He's in the loser's bracket, but he's going to be waiting a while because we got Raynor versus Violet that was happening. Hearthstone versus Bales, it looks like is happening. Seems like Hearthstone did end up beating Xenocider. Let's see if we can hop into any games right now or any players out of the game. Let's do this before we go to our ad break. Laser's out of the game, but he's just waiting around for like a lot of other matches. Uthermal versus Sake is also happening, and Bly versus Halfbreed. I don't know who Halfbreed is. Okay, Marine Lord is waiting around for Uthermal versus Sake. Petit Drogo is waiting around for Bly versus Halfbreed. I don't see Bales. I don't see Raynor or Violet. I don't see Hearthstone. I don't see Uthermal. I don't see Bly. And that's pretty much everyone. So we're going to wait for a series. Literally just any series that comes out, it's going to be a good one. We could end up seeing potentially Violet versus True. You know, the old school North American Zerg from Korea facing off versus the new school North American Zerg from Korea. We could end up with Hearthstone or Bales versus Major. Either one of those is going to be a pretty cool TVP. Uthermal versus Sake, the winner of that goes on to face off versus Marine Lord. We got our own little European bracket going down on that south side. We got Bly versus Halfbreed happening right now. The winner of that is going to face off versus Petit Drogo in his ZvT. Ladies and gentlemen, you guys are watching the BaseTradeTV coverage of the WCS International Copa qualifiers for North America. We'll see you guys in a little bit.